Ready to rip?
Yeah, I'm almost done.
He's on standby for the CRA board meeting.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Today is Thursday, January 8th, 2026. The time is 6:03 p.m. and this joint meeting of the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency Board and the City of Boynton Beach Commission is now called to order. The CRA January board meeting will start at the conclusion of this joint meeting. Let's proceed to the invocation led by Board Member Turkin and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Cruz, or Board Member Cruz, I should say.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this new year. We ask that you bless everyone in this room, staff, and the residents of Boynton Beach as we endure this next year. Grant everyone hope, happiness, and health. And in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Let's turn to our Deputy City Clerk, Tammy Stanzioni. If you could please do the roll call.
Chair Shelton,
Present.
Vice Chair Hay, Board Member Cruz,
Present.
Board Member Turkin,
Present.
Board Member Kelly.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We are now moving on to additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda. Let's begin to my right with Board Member Cruz. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections? Board Member Kelly
No, thank you, Chair.
and Board Member Turkin.
None, Chair.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved. Board Chair, I so apologize. Legal does have a request.
Oh, okay.
So we would like to add a request to consider a meeting of the CRA shortly before the meeting of the city at the next meeting to handle a real estate matter. We anticipate the meeting would take no more than 10 minutes.
On the 20th?
Yes, so that's going to, just if we could add that to your agenda for your consideration, we would appreciate it. Yes.
Motion to include that change to the agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion and we have a second to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. It's hard getting back in the swing of things after New Year's, isn't it? And Christmas. Let's now begin with informational items and disclosures by board members and CRA staff. Let's begin to my left. Board Member Turkin.
None, Chair.
Board Member Kelly.
No, Chair, thank you.
Board Member Cruz.
None for me.
And I have none. Let's move on to the next portion of the agenda, which is public comments. The public comment section of the meeting is for the public comment on all items on the agenda or items that are not on the agenda. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes to comment on all items on the agenda. However, the board retains the right to increase or decrease the 3-minute limit prior to the start of public comment. Each public speaker shall be given the same number of minutes unless it becomes necessary to terminate a speaker's comments in order to maintain orderly conduct and properly decorum. Persons making public comment may not assign or donate their public comment time to another individual to allow that other individual time to comment. However, any persons requiring assistance will be accommodated as required by the American with Disabilities Act. Prior to addressing the board, speakers present at the meeting will go to the podium to make comments, and speakers participating virtually will unmute their device at the time. Speakers may be asked to state their name and address for the record. Any person may provide written comments to the board prior to the meeting. So if you have a public comment, now is the time to come down.
Happy New Year. My name is Reverend Cindy Falco Di Corrado. I stand here tonight not for money, not for attention, but because we the people deserve integrity, transparency, accountability from our government. In recent months, I have personally witnessed conduct within the city that has been greatly concerned to me. I will not name individuals tonight. I am speaking only about patterns, practices, and the culture that operates behind closed doors. I have experienced private conversations that should have been handled publicly and on the record, being whispered in my ear instead. I have seen verbal offers made outside of proper procedures, attempts to minimize or silence matters that should have been addressed with honesty, documentation, and transparency. My husband witnessed these interactions as well. I have also observed political relationships and endorsements that, while completely legal, raise legitimate questions about how decisions are made, how cases are handled, and why certain citizens are treated the way they are. When citizens are mistreated, removed without cause, injured, silenced, or pressured outside of official channels, it erodes public trust. When leadership operates in whispers instead of transparency, it undermines the very foundation of good governance. And I want this said clearly, respectfully, and on the public record. I refuse to be intimidated. I refuse to be silenced. I refuse to take hush money, and I refuse to ignore misconduct, no matter how uncomfortable the truth may be. I am pursuing all appropriate legal remedies through the courts, including federal avenues. I will not discuss these cases here, but I want the commission and the public to know that I am standing for truth, for accountability, and for every resident who has ever been mistreated or ignored. My hope tonight is just simple. This is that city chooses to operate in the light, that transparency replaces whispers, that honesty replaces avoidance, and that every official here remembers the solemn oath you took to serve we the people. Not political alliances, not personal agendas, not backroom conversations. I pray that God grants each and every one of you the wisdom and the courage and the conviction to do what is right, even when no one is watching. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. Welcome back. Susan Oyer, Boynton Beach. I want to say thank you, board member / Commissioner Amy Kelly, for coming and judging my neighborhood's decorating contest. I really gave them a hard time about how poorly they did for Halloween and really challenged them, and they went all big. Thank you to you and your daughter for coming out 3 nights in a row to go through all the houses and come up with a great set of winners and superlatives. Thank you very much. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, I've been hearing complaints, the 500 Ocean building where Guacago used to be, apparently there's no longer free parking for the public, and there's supposed to be. That was one of the conditions of approval for that project. They're now forcing people to download some app or something and register to park in a free parking place. Yes, I know, to the point that Guacago has now left because of it. And I believe you've lost a butcher in the bar because of it. You are losing businesses in the CRA because you are allowing that horrid building that has had problems from day one to continue on with their nonsense, and now they're forcing people to register to park, or they're handing them tickets. And you are now losing patrons, and you are losing businesses that have been there for a few years now, all because of this horrid, awful building that can't get their crap together, whether it's falling elevators, mold, people, employees breaking into people's apartments, whatever. Please take a look at that. I'm also worried that the D3 parking ordinance meeting, no one appears to want to show up. And I know Doug, who runs it, was like, we can't get anyone from the city to show up. What is that? D3 and D2 are your big districts that you supposedly are trying to clean up with parking, and yet you can't get city employees to show up to their own meetings. So please get working on that. And let's see, I think I have enough time to get both in. I would like to highly suggest that the old house that's on Boynton Beach Boulevard and 3rd, you guys might want to look at, I know they don't seem to want to sell, but maybe it's because they're afraid that beautiful building that's 95 years old this year is going to be knocked down and destroyed. Have you guys thought about taking that one and moving that one over next to the Magnuson? If the Andrews House thing is not going to work, my group is on board with going forward with getting that house moved and saved and protected. It is 95 years old this year. That might definitely be worth investigating. Some company out of Lake Worth owns it because I went investigating it on Papa last night. So I would ask that maybe you guys look forward to maybe doing something like that to save another piece of our city's history and moving it downtown. And whoever's laughing, hopefully they agree. And yes, there's movement forward on getting Besançon, France as our next sister city. I had meetings with them today, and we will continue having meetings going forward, but there's movement on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else here for public comment? Come on down, sir.
Hi, I'm not sure if this is the right time for me to speak. It's more of a personal thing. I been a homeowner in Boynton Beach since my name is David Ald.
Thank you.
I've been a homeowner in Boynton Beach since 2019, and I recently bought the house right on the corner behind here, 202 Southeast First Avenue. Since I moved in, I put in a new roof, new windows and doors, and did some landscaping. And recently received a letter with several code violations in regards to the landscaping. I basically put in and before I did it, I had, looked at other established houses in the area. And, it wasn't anything major. It was a Kalusha bed and some stone put in. Basically, when I moved into the house, the front yard was almost half dirt, half grass, just really not very well maintained. I put in a Kalusha bed in the front and some stone to leave a little berth for traffic because it's a narrow street and trucks and landscapers come down there. I also put some stone up the side. And, I can go through the complaints or whatever. I'm just hoping that, kind of tapped out for money right now. There'd be some kind of waiver or some sort of, I don't know, at very least an extension, because today is the day that everything's supposed to be done. I redid the irrigation to make everything, look good. I've had compliments by neighbors and walkers and city workers since I moved in. The house is the best that it's looked that they can remember. So I'm just pleading for myself that I don't have to put thousands of dollars to remove what I had done. I'm not sure if this is the right venue, but a friend of mine told me it might be helpful to make a plea to all of you. So I'm not sure if this is the right way to go, but just thought I'd come up.
It is. When you are done, can you just wait so we can have somebody get your phone number? I know code probably has it, but we're going to have someone follow up with this
Okay.
tonight and early tomorrow morning so it doesn't continue on.
Okay.
The
Sir,
gentleman in the blue shirt over there.
Yeah, can you get the phone number for us?
he's in the far back corner, sir.
Yeah, he'll give it to us after.
Okay, should I
Yeah.
still wait?
No, you don't have to wait. If you just want to make sure you give your contact information so that we have it.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the neighborhood, Mr. L. Okay, so the online is still not working, right?
They're getting him logged in now.
We are logged in.
So they are working on it.
Oh,
right
they're
now.
working on it, okay.
But there's nobody on.
Okay, but there's no one anyways. Okay. Moving on, let's go to new business. The first item is the presentation of affordable housing inventory. Mr. Tack, or who wants to, Bonnie, are you on this for this one? Okay,
Yes.
I see you're switching, okay.
Yes, good evening, board. Will there be a presentation? Yep, he's getting it loaded for us now. Great. So this is a follow-up from the November 8th workshop with the CRA and City Commission. There was a request for a report on affordable housing inventory that we have. This presentation is going to provide an overview of the past 5 years for current projects that are under construction and pre-development and completed within the past 5 years. As an overview, we have 677 affordable units ranging from rental apartments to single-family homes, and they range in affordability from 30% of the county's AMI all the way up to 120% AMI. So the PowerPoint slides will just break it down real quickly. So first we'll look at some of the completed projects. We have Ocean Breeze East, that's Centennial Management Corporation, 123 units, 10% are 30% AMI, and 90% units, 60% AMI. And they are all rental at 100 Northeast 7th Avenue. They're currently fully occupied with a wait list. Heart of Boynton, they are completed 137 Northeast 10th Avenue, rental 124, 10% of the units to 30%, whereas 90% of the units are 70% AMI. And again, that's a Centennial project. We have Model Block. That was a combination project between Habitat and the Boynton Beach Faith-Based CDC. These are all for sale units, 16 single-family homes. The Habitat for Humanity homes were 60% AMI, whereas the CDC were on the moderate 2 scale of 100 to 120%. Currently under construction, we have the Cottage District, 41 single-family homes, 41 units, 19 single-family homes, ranging between the 80 to 100% AMI, and the 22 townhomes are on the lower, so they're 60 to 80%. They're all for sale products by Pulte Home. And the Dunes just broke ground as well, South Federal Highway. They are a combination of rental with apartments and townhomes. 15 units of the units will be 100% to 120%, and 119, sorry, I didn't differentiate that on the units, but Affiliated is also doing that project. And pre-development, we have Seacrest Sound, just north of the canal, rental 89. This one's a live local, and to segue back to the Dunes, that was also live local. Seacrest Sound is a 89 units, 100 to 120% AMI, and they're Seacrest Apartments Property Owner LLC. And lastly, we have the Pierce. They will have 150 units of their 300 units affordability, and then we phase down every 15 years and end with 30% 30 units in perpetuity. So you can see the affordability ranges as the years go by, and that's Affiliated. And that was just a quick overview. And then I'm here for questions, and we also have Amanda Radigan with the city if you have any other questions.
If any of my colleagues have any questions? Okay.
Great, thank you.
Moving on, the next item is Pence Park. Mr. Tack, is that on you? Oh, okay.
Good evening, Board Chair, CRA members, city officials, staff, residents. Thank you for the opportunity to present an update on Pence Park redevelopment project. This project focuses on expanding and modernizing the park to better serve the community. I'll briefly walk you through scope and timeline today. Pence Park is a key neighborhood asset within the CRA district. The proposed improvements modernize the park while expanding usable footprint. The design prioritizes flexibility, durability, and long-term benefit. Perfect. The park is located at 600 Southeast 4th Street in Boynton Beach. The aerial here shows the existing park boundaries and the surrounding context. The site's location makes it highly visible, accessible, and well-positioned for reinvestment. A major component of this project is the abandonment of the Southeast 3rd Street. We're also utilizing approximately 25 feet of adjacent railroad right-of-way. These changes will allow the park to expand in a way that was not previously possible. The added space improves layout efficiency, safety, and overall usability. Any trees that can be relocated will be within feasible and appropriate. Fencing will be upgraded to current standards. These improvements prepare the site for long-term performance and maintenance. Here's a high level of what's coming. The redesigned park supports a wide range of users. Major components include multi-purpose athletic fields that are designed for soccer, football, or any other athletic sports. Bleachers to accommodate games, practices, and special events. Synthetic turf to improve durability, minimize downtime, reduce irrigation and maintenance needs. Pickleball continues to grow rapidly. 4 dedicated courts will provide safe, clearly defined play areas. Their placement minimizes conflicts with other parks and activities. Both athletic fields and the pickleball courts will be illuminated. You can see around the walking paths that functions throughout day and night, week. The playground, which is under the red tarp, will offer space for children and families to get together. These features, of course, ensure that the park serves all age groups. There'll be new bathrooms, multi-purpose rooms. The new restrooms, facilities improve comfort, accessibility. Multi-purpose rooms will support community programming, meetings, events. These amenities significantly increase the park's functional capacity. The maintenance building will be on site. The maintenance building will support efficient day-to-day operations. On-site storage improves response times and operational costs. This facility protects the CRA's investment over the long period of time. Where are we today? Construction documents are at about 100%. The first design review was this week, Tuesday of this week, with all functional departments, fire, police, utilities, and so forth. Comments were minimal. Permitting is anticipated to be around, somewhere in February. After permitting, we'll start preparing for the bidding process, public bid. These milestones position the project well for implementation. In closing, this project transforms Pence Park into a modern, flexible community asset. It maximizes limited urban space while supporting recreational events and neighborhood quality. We appreciate the CRA's support and partnership. I'm happy to answer any questions if I can. Thank you.
Questions from my colleagues?
I have one quick question. I know Commissioner Board Member Turkin, I know we had discussions about incorporating a splash pad. Do we know, as part of that children's playground area, have we nixed that? Are we trying to see if that's something that can be part of the children's playground? Are we?
Not part of it.
So for the regular playground under the red tarp, it's going to be just standard playground equipment? Okay.
Can I ask why that was not included when it's been communicated at both the CRA and city level? And that, not just that, but also at the advisory board meetings, to have some designs, and I think verbatim what was said is we'll come back with some stuff and we'll show it to you, which I understand if there's an issue as to why we can't do it. What I don't like is when we get to the final hour and we just see these finalized plans, we've dumped all this money into it, yet the commission had no opportunity to then address, this. So I'm just confused. I know that there's been some time since our last meetings, and so I just want to know the reasoning of why there wasn't input allowed, or is there an engineering reason as to why we can't do this that I'm unaware of? Because I'll speak for myself, when I'm advocating and speaking with my constituents, I'm saying, hey, yes, we've discussed this, we've allowed this in a dialogue, and I hand the ball to staff. Most of the time, the touchdown's scored. I don't look back to see if it's not going to get scored. And so if we need to redraw the play, I'd like to know if we need to do that. So I just don't know where the disconnect was. And again, if there's communication, then I can go and say, hey, here's the why we're not doing this, versus it being brought forward. Then we're going into permitting in February, right? We have one commission meeting, and then to go back, I know is going to cost money for redesign, and then we're expending more resources. So I just want to know where that disconnect was, or if there's an opportunity where we can incorporate that, or if there's a thought or initiative to have that place elsewhere, that would be good to know. Just the communication aspect, because if that's going to be somewhere else, good to know, no big deal, let's move forward. I just need to know these things, not at the last minute.
Yes, sir. I think part of the problem in this particular project was the plans were developed further along than at the time when that request came from, I think it was a meeting that was held in the community. So it hasn't been reflected in the drawings. It was something we considered. I can tell you that those type of splash pads are very maintenance heavy. And then this type of park, so we're looking to potentially centralize that into an aquatic center. That was one of the things that we were talking about. We still have an opportunity to add it here. It would be a small revision to this that could be done during the permitting. So we're still evaluating that, but we'd like to see that done at a more centralized location at an aquatic park instead of having splash pads throughout the city, because they are very problematic. As you can tell, the one at Barrier Free is down more than it is up. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the primary reasons why it wasn't done. I do apologize, that wasn't communicated to the dais before this presentation today. That is something we can still accomplish if that is the will of the board here, or the commission.
Yeah, listen, I'm pretty reasonable when it comes to, you know, if something makes sense as to the why. And when we were discussing this, the number one issue I brought up was the maintenance and the recurring cost. What I don't like is that there was a decision made without input. That, this has nothing to do with the splash pad or the Penn Spark project. It has to do that with the fact that there was a final decision made without options being presented, it seems like. You know, if there's a more logical reasoning to put it elsewhere where it's more cost effective, you know, I'm all ears. You know, I think we have the right to have those options presented before us before we open up this dialogue, looking at plans, you know, that are later will be executed.
I don't think it was so much that it was these aren't final drawings. It still can be done. I think it wasn't so much that it was a timing thing, that the drawings and renderings, these renderings were probably completed a while back.
Right.
So we haven't had an opportunity to update those drawings, but the consensus, and we knew this was going to be a topic that came up tonight when you saw these drawings. So it was something that we probably should have got with you individually on to get some input on before the meeting. So I do apologize for that. But we will look at that again. But the consensus before the meeting, when we all talked, because I knew this was going to come up, was the rationale was that the maintenance of it, and we're looking to centralize it at more of a park. So the Denson Pool is one of the projects that we're looking at that in the within the next 5 years, we're going to need a major renovation at that park. And we are looking to do more of an aquatic center at that park, which we could include those kind of features for kids to play. It's kind of similar to what they've done at John Prince Park. If you've seen what the county's done at that park, where they have a wonderful facility there where the kids absolutely enjoy themselves. That was kind of what we were thinking, that was the direction we were going to go. I do apologize that we didn't get at least some input from the dais before this meeting, but we'll make sure that's rectified.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, this has gone through so many levels of, like, feedback between constituency, the CRA board, this body, on both sides of the city and the CRA. And, you know, we talk about the Denson Pool, that's 5 years out, which probably won't get done for 7 to 10 years.
Correct.
You know, so what that looks like to me is the same thing we've seen in the past is can kick down the road, which I don't want to see happen. I think there's an opportunity where, like, let's go back, see what this looks like to include both.
Can you pull the site plan up?
And
Why don't we
if not, then are we creating a realistic plan, you know, where we can establish something in a neighboring park? I know one proposed idea was right over here. You know, personally, I think that's a little bit too close to the road. Yeah, you know, but I just, you know, what I'm asking for is just communication, simple. You know, everyone's been off for a month, so to say we didn't have time is an obsolete excuse, I think. And being the district commissioner and giving my word to someone and then seeing this, you know, it's not the best look. And I just wish that I would be more involved in this process before it became public. And, you know, maybe we do. I sent an email earlier this week about having a community meeting in lieu of what was discussed earlier in public comment about Penn Spark, or maybe it was Seacrest, one of the two projects that affected the district. So maybe this is a perfect opportunity for that, so we can get some feedback for the residents, apply both before we move forward, and then make a decision, you know, and just not do it hastily, because I just...
We're scheduled, I think Tom is scheduled and Kevin are going to be at the 21st meeting to present these plans and do this presentation at Forest Park. So that I would love to see feedback on, and I'll let Carl speak too. I know that it's something they may have talked about, placing one here. There may be, and you can speak, Carl, on this, is whether there will have to be features removed in order to add a splash pad at this park, if that was the will of the commission.
And and also too, what is the cost, right? I think it's easier to have this conversation with your constituency, with the residents, when we highlight, hey, here's what we want to do. You know, if we did a splash pad, here's how much it would cost. Here's the pros and cons. You know what I mean? And then that way we kind of weigh out and incorporate. This is a big project, right? And it's just an awesome project. And Andrew, I know you've been working on this for years. Thank you guys so much for all the work you've put into it. I just want to make sure we get this right, and that we're honoring our word when we say hey, we have an opportunity to include, this concept into the district. And I want to make sure we do and take the steps needed to at least hear and make an effort, to at least execute that initiative. And again, if we can't do it, we can't do it. That's fine, but we need to explain the why.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on the 21st, we can have that information available and have a very robust discussion at the Forest Park meeting.
Yeah.
Well, and Commissioner, I mean, I agree, and I think that's, it really just comes down to communication. But, I mean, even if it's something as simple as a water feature that is not necessarily a full-on splash pad with dumping buckets and all that stuff that is so costly to maintain, and I mean, we see it at Barrier Free, we know. But, even a light-up water feature like downtown West Palm did, 25 years ago, just giving kids an opportunity to run through some water when it's 105 degrees outside is not going to necessarily take up a lot of space. And it's not something that's necessarily going to be in the playground area where you have to worry about wetness. But at the same time, it gives, that opportunity to have a water feature, which is part of our kind of, incorporating art and a feature, but also, killing two birds with one stone. So that might be an opportunity where it's not going to require that much maintenance, and it's not going to require that much space, but it's going to provide an opportunity for what, Commissioner Turkin's residents, have been, wanting and I mean, we had this whole presentation done by the Crab Board on what the residents of, the CRA district want to see. And so it is, I'm not going to, repeat everything that was said, but I think that, there probably are some opportunities where we can do something, maybe not on a grand scale, but that meets the needs of the residents, but is not gonna be, we're not gonna kill ourselves in maintenance either. So I would like to, before it moves, any further, to really see what those options are and how it would work and what the cost would be to make changes so that we can decide, is it fiscally responsible for us to make these changes after we spent all this money making this plan before splash pads became a thing and before we started talking and going down that road. So that's my thought on that.
Carl, you have?
Yeah, I just had one other thing I'd like to add. Good evening, everybody. My name is Carl Fermenti. I'm the Director of Construction Services. So one of the challenges we face with this site, as you can see, it's relatively small for the amount of activities and user groups that we have defined for this space. So that was one of the, decisions that we had to make. We actually stripped some amenities out of this park through the original design process. We had some basketball courts and stuff in there. So, what our thinking was there is when people go to parks, they don't want to be confined. They want to enjoy open spaces and all of that. And, with having a splash pad in such close proximity to some other features, it'll be a little bit challenging, but we'll take a look at that and give it considerations. The other things that we took into account when we made these types of decisions with the site was simply, the additional parking that would be required because you're inviting a whole nother user group to this park. And primarily, most of the activities that we've seen at this park in the past have been, it's very heavy soccer, so that takes up a majority of the footprint. And then obviously with the downtown development and multi-use development that's going on, it will attract, family types with young children. So that was the reason that we definitely needed a park feature. Now, having a park feature with a water component adjacent in such close proximity to those other things will be challenging, but certainly something we consider. And to also echo some of the thoughts, I mean, we have some underutilized parks that already have a very good amount of parking and may lend themselves better to this type of activity in a more expansive type of aquatic center or park. And just to echo those locations, obviously, we were talking about the Denson Pool, which is the Carolyn Sims Center, and then the other one would be Barrier Free Park. There's still a lot of unused space at those two parks, and I think that we'll get a more diverse user group and be able to accommodate more of a family type of group. Whereas in this downtown area, what we think we see right now is really that's more of younger families or families that are just starting. So those children, they may not have children, or they may just have, very small children that aren't even old enough yet to maybe even use those type of features in that park. So those are just some of the considerations, that we went through the design process. And unfortunately, I wasn't involved in the prior meeting, so I wasn't aware of the request of the water feature, but certainly that's something that we would consider before we, make any kind of final decision on, this park. It's very important. It's in, we have, we're doing some road work. We're redoing that road there. So whatever we do there, we want to make the right move and make it the right fit for that area. So we certainly appreciate that feedback, and we'll make those considerations as we work through the remaining process of this
The
project.
other thing I think Commissioner Kelly made a great point is, when you think splash pad, I'm thinking something that you might have to have lifeguard there and all that. So that, it may be more of a terminology problem than it was, because I think something like you're talking about where the water shoots up out of the ground where the kids can run through is probably a much doable thing here versus a splash pad. That's why I meant splash pad would be better appropriate for like a Denson pool or aquatic center. So that's kind of why that conversation went that way.
Yeah.
So an alternate, we can look at something that is different where it's more of a water feature instead of a splash pad.
Thank you. I do want to make a few points, and thank you for the presentation. Few questions. I mean, if we get into the frame of thought that we're going dense, we have multiple buildings that are being constructed at the time. We have 500 Ocean pretty much very nearby. We have a lot of density coming up in the future. And as we're thinking of parks and building something immediately, we should also think about not just the parking per se, which is a valid point, but also the fact that there are going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of new people coming into that area where within a walking distance. I have a question with regard to the building. Can somebody talk about the rationale behind creating the multi-use room, and what's the square footage on that?
Off the top, I do not know the exact square footage of the building, but the intended use for those would be for Parks and Recs meetings, any type of clubs that could be affiliated with the park, perhaps even utilizing it for parties for children and so forth. So that's the intent of some of those, and that could possibly be a source of revenue as well for the city to use that space as a rental type space for birthday parties and so forth.
Vending machines.
Any way to know the size? Is it 1,000 square feet? Is it
Somewhere around 1,000, 1,500 square.
1,000? Okay. I'm not a planner or anything, but, I think we should keep parks parks. I think we're doing a lot of closed door space. We've got restrooms are reasonable storage. We have an office there. This multi-purpose room could and Commissioner Kelly talked about West Palm Beach and downtown West Palm, how they have not necessarily a splash pad, but they have the area where the kids can, go in and have the water. I don't see why we couldn't get rid of the multi-purpose room and have something within those 1,000 square feet that could potentially be more beneficial to the community. The people have been asking for the splash pad, and I support the district commissioner in fighting for that. People have been asking for this for years and years and years, and this is an opportunity. We're spending, I think, $4.4 million in this park. Why can't we put something water-related for the kids there? I don't see a necessity for a multi-purpose room in a park necessarily. We have City Hall not that far away, and we have a lot of spaces in City Hall, a lot of empty space on the first floor. At least last time I checked, a lot of empty space where we could potentially have meetings or, where people with the clubs could meet up. I don't know if that's the best place for it in a park. We're gonna have so much limited space with parks going forward. There's not enough land to do it and a lot of construction coming up. So I think we should prioritize as much open space as we could. And I think we do have an opportunity to put something, whether it's a splash pad or whether it's the concrete where the water comes out of the ground, that we don't necessarily need a lifeguard for that. They don't have one in, say, West Palm Beach. But it's something that it really becomes a community hub and really brings the downtown together. And, I think that we could do something, with that train of thought.
So I'd like to propose, if it's okay with my colleagues, maybe come back with a couple of concepts, and maybe we'll do this meeting at Forest Park, get some feedback with those concepts, and then bring it back before us. Because the talking point about the multipurpose room, I could see both sides of it. I could see why you would want that. To me, I think it'll be great for a month or two, and then you're gonna have
gonna
undesirable
manage
activity
it?
there.
Yeah, who's
right?
gonna manage
And
it?
then that's gonna be maintenance, right? Who's gonna
That's what I
manage it?
worry
mean,
about with the fountain.
Security, and you have to have somebody there manning
Right.
it, yeah.
I think, you know, to the idea of like the water feature, right? I think that suffices, right? I would imagine that would suffice. That's split in the middle. You know, maybe it's less on maintenance. I mean, hell, I would jump in the coin pool. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, I didn't care.
Fountain,
The
yeah.
fountain, right? Like, and, you know, that was something I remember as a kid. You know, I don't think it needs to be this grandiose water park, right? But I think having some form of water feature is important, and I think it'd be a home run. And I think if we're worried about maintenance, then regardless of the water feature, then we should look at this project in its entirety about the multipurpose room. I can understand the why, you know, it sounds good in theory. I just know, like, perfect example today, went to Harvey Oyer Park, new tackle shop. They're like, hey, can someone get the trash cans? It's been 3 days. You know what I mean? It's full when I got back. You know, the one closer to the boat ramp. So it's like we're just adding more maintenance, more maintenance, more maintenance. And so, you know, listen, again, I'm not, you know, frustrated with the water feature there, not there, indifferent. I'm frustrated that it wasn't kind of brought in the proper process, I believe, or at least there was no communication. If I got a phone call and someone said, hey, you know, here's the why, right? I could understand that, and then maybe I could ask that we propose, so on and so forth. So that's my proposition. I don't know if you need a motion, city attorney, or if consensus suffices.
Fine. I think we have enough direction. Do you think that you'll have enough time to have a couple options by the 21st, or is that something that you won't have available?
I can give you an answer in the morning. Let me just
Okay.
meet with some of my associates to see how quickly we can get this online and back, you know, to give it a second look.
We may not have drawings, but you may be able to at least communicate where and what at the meeting. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right, so, and I do think that, you know, your idea of, you know, riffing the building does free up money. It saves us money in the construction too.
When I noticed, like, there's no, like, outdoor seating, like picnic tables and an area for that, where if you're talking about bringing families into an area, if I'm going to, when I had little kids, I went to a playground, I wanted a place for them to sit and have a snack and drink, and so maybe if we scrubbed the building, put out an outdoor seating area and a water feature, it might.
Do we
kill
have,
two
there is an
birds.
outdoor seating here, is there?
There is
It's
some
like
seating, but it's
covered,
primarily
isn't it?
adjacent to the field, and it is covered.
Okay.
Last thought, sorry, or you want to go?
No, I was just gonna say thank you guys for all your hard work on this. This has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
This currently is not the most desirable place. It's not utilized to its
No.
best potential, for sure. Unfortunately, there's
needed,
been a lot of
yeah.
undesirable activity, you know, adjacent to the park. So thank you guys for all your hard work on
And
this.
since we're on the subject of the park, the properties that are on the north side that have the sticker on them that are wood frame and condemned, is there anything movement of those being torn down, or would they still remain when we put this beautiful park in? Because I get calls every weekend about loitering behind those two properties, a lot of bad activity going on, and I keep seeing we're talking about putting 4 million in, but are we getting rid of the garbage houses across the street?
Those are in the
No one lives
process.
in 'em.
Those are in the process, yes.
Okay.
I spoke with Adam. He's not here tonight, but we're very well aware and they're in the process, so.
My last thought was just, we don't have an abundance of land for parks. Let's try to keep parks as much as we can, you know, open space. And we have plenty of buildings. We have $100 million new city hall where we could have space for, and/or multi-purpose rooms on the first floor. There's just a lot of opportunity. We have limited space for parks, and it would be great to really keep that in mind as we're building future parks.
Great. Okay, so we do have we're good with the consensus to move that, and we can move on to the item you wanted to add, 8C. which was
Yes, thank you.
adding an item to the next
Thank you,
meeting.
guys.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Board Chair. In the CRA meeting, there'll be a real estate item coming before you. We have received an executed contract for that property. To the extent that the board at the CRA meeting votes to approve that contract, it's not in your agenda, it's not before you, you're not able to approve it tonight. However, to expedite proceedings, if the board desired and with the city's consent, then you all could.
Yeah.
Do you want me to continue or do you want to wait?
What did we skip?
The budget.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing the real estate
Yeah.
before the
We
budget,
skipped
yeah.
C. Yeah, that was supposed to be D. My mistake.
That's fine. Do you want me to continue or do you want me to wait?
Want to just switch it?
I think it's both because we'd have to move the time of the city commission until after the CRA meeting, but we don't expect the CRA meeting would take long. If it's approved tonight, we would just
Yeah, it should've
convene
been
them for
8D.
voting purposes. Okay,
8C.
so I'll suspend this discussion until
Yep,
you
we'll just- okay.
re-cue me.
So let's go to 8C. Who wants to do this?
The
presentation?
computers are down up here too.
Yeah, we don't have
For the
anything on our
slideshow,
screen.
and looks like,
This is Tim. Come on up,
Yeah, I don't have
Tim.
anything.
I kind of like this side of the dais. This is nice. We just brought this item back before y'all to identify priority projects, as well as start your discussion in regards to preparing a budget for the next fiscal year. And in combination with the city, thought this would be a good time to do so. So this is an open discussion for you all, and however you want to proceed, it's up to y'all.
I mean, so what are we, so this is in anticipation of our upcoming budget cycle and what we have coming in and going out? And
That is
where our
correct.
priorities are.
Yeah, that is correct. If there's any projects that you think that are going to be priority projects for this next fiscal year, it would be the time to start that introduction, or at least start talking about that, or anything that you feel that we should be focusing our budget more on. Particularly if you think land acquisition, if there's ways that we can get a little bit more of an insight. But again, this is just preliminary discussion.
I definitely think it's land acquisition. However, I'm still going to say I'm the new kid on the block because I haven't hit a year yet. But is this something that would be better suited in a workshop to go in detail about it? Or, I mean, I know I'm adamant about land acquisition, obviously. I know we need to discuss the events, the budget there, and where we are with that. But I'm deferring to my colleagues on anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think our priorities are, I mean, I think our priorities are always property acquisition. I think, I mean, I feel like I've talked ad nauseum about federal highway, and acquiring, whatever we can on federal highway to start making improvements there too. But I think, I think where our budget is now and our priorities are, pretty, I think they're pretty stable. I mean, in looking at it, I don't think that there's anything that that me personally, except to continue to prioritize acquisition and also to really start moving the properties that we have. Because as much as we have our annual TURFA that comes in, we also are sitting on properties that we can move that will improve and enhance our district and the city as a whole, and we're just sitting on them. And I think that right now, and we're moving them, we're starting to move them, but I think that, really looking closely at, the post office and what we're, and part of that, I know, part of this discussion was also going to be like pushing through some of our priorities as far as what the CRA plan is going to look like and where our priorities are going to be with that. And I think I think having that discussion, I think kind of kills two birds with one stone, where our priorities as far as the CRA plan and rewriting the plan, where our budget priorities are. But I mean, I agree. I think property acquisition is always a high priority because we can't get people to improve for us. We have to do the work. So that's kind of my thought. I think that where as far as, where our budget sits for this year. I think we've moved things around through the last year as far as what our priorities have been. And so I think we're on the right track to keeping them going. I would like to see us consider, how, I know we'll get a circuit update soon, but to start having that discussion on how that's working, how we can improve that, how we change that, since we're here in two different hats, how the city can get involved with increasing that out to the tri-rail. I think those are some of the priorities, I think, coming up that, if that means that we need to invest a little bit more on our end for the rideshare program, I want to see where that is and how successful that is and what the city can do to push that forward. And if that means that we expand a little bit further west to hit our art area, because we do have our arts district, and also the tri-rail. So those are my thoughts on the budget and moving forward.
I think we know where we're going. I think it's just a matter of how, and I think that how is going to be discussed at our next meeting in regards to hopefully a bond, right? I think we've also discussed, the Marina Overlay District, right? So I think putting in those tools and mechanisms that'll help shape the future and then actually making it come to fruition. I think we've been very clear on our vision, for the last year, to us focusing more on commercial versus high-density residential and multifamily. I think we've done a lot. And, the county's doing a lot, right? So I think it's Boynton Beach's turn to decide what we want to see in our city. And I think first and foremost, that comes from property acquisition and having leverage and, land power. And I think that's what we're doing. And, I hope we have a productive conversation when it comes to this bond, because I think that's really going to be our opportunity to make transformational change, specifically to the east side and that federal corridor. Because I think, a lot of people are excited, about what's coming downtown. And, it just takes so long. Everything takes so long. But I think when we have, the property rights and, we have more leverage, we can kind of guide the private sector to where our residents and our vision sees fit. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Well, and
You gotta
focus on
text
commercial
Commissioner
as
Hayes on.
opposed
Yes.
to.
Commissioner Hayes now on the attendance.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Are there any other discussion items before?
Just to add to the circuit, we may also want to look at whether we're expanding or contracting outside the CRA boundary as well. So there may be those discussions, because certainly connecting to Palm Tran or something like that may make a lot of sense moving forward, or maybe not. So those are also discussions that we could have as a part of that.
Perfect.
Okay, so we will further that discussion at a later time, and we will continue to now move on to 8D.
Simply because it would require attention of city council and the CRA to allow the CRA to hold a brief meeting at the beginning of the next city council meeting to finalize a contract, if you all choose to take that route tonight, because it would require an adjustment of the city council time and would require you all as a CRA to approve that. We wanted to put that on your radar. You all can vote at the meeting on the CRA at the next meeting, but while we have you here as city council members, also, I don't know if you're a city attorney, and I apologize because this just came up shortly before we came in here. If you'd like to make that allowance to push that city council meeting back by 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, okay.
I'm okay with
Do you need a
that.
motion or consensus works?
No, I think we can just add it to the agenda.
15
Perfect.
minutes.
Anyway, we could do it at 6 and just make it short.
That's what we're.
Yeah, we'll just
Okay.
start.
Yeah,
no,
6
not
is
start
start.
at 6. Yeah,
I
we'll be
thought
saying
pushing
like
back was
tonight.
5:45, 'cause I'm coming from West Palm.
Yeah, we'll make it
6 o'clock and.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so we don't need a vote on that?
Nope.
All right. Yeah, we're done with that. Anything else before we wrap this meeting up? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So a second?
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We would take a minute break while we set up for the CRA morning meeting.
Minute. 1 minute break.
About a 5-minute break. Tammy, do you need more time?
We'll be right back.
5 minutes is fine. Information-only items my colleagues would like to discuss?
Not today for me.
I'm being respectfully reminded to say that we would like you to talk about the Pulte item if possible. We have a video that we would very much like to share.
Okay, 8E, please. I'd like to hear an update on that.
Okay.
Nope, I'm okay with just hearing 80.
Yeah, and when do you want to do the Pulte?
Right now.
Right now? Okay, let's get to it.
Real quick, while we're waiting for her to come up, IT, there is someone else that is is showing online, but it's not showing that they're here for public comment or for particular items, so can you let us know they are for public comment, or you'll let me know? Okay, okay, thank you. So when we get to that, okay.
Teresa Utterback, Development Services Manager. We may not be, I was just going to show a quick video of the progress at Pulte from aerial. It's really quite fascinating. And because the ribbon cutting is coming up on the 29th, I thought it was a good, tonight would be a good, but I'm not sure. Are we going to be able to, we may not be able to show it. Are we online? Are we? Bonnie. We're looking. The Pulte. Okay. Okay, got it. Understood.
There it is.
And there's no audio, it's just video.
It's just video, and I just wanted the public and you guys to see the progress. It's going to get exciting in a minute.
I was like, okay.
It's a lot of dirt.
Yeah, maybe we should
I'm
add some
missing
music to
some-
this next time.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, there's only so much you get from the street, and it's really nice to
Yeah.
actually see it from the aerial view. This is over a series of several months.
And as the green starts going in, it's just looks incredible.
So yeah, just on a
Hey.
loop, so.
Okay, next time, I'll do better.
No other items? Okay. Let's move on to announcements and award. Apparently, there are no announcements. So we will now move on to the next portion of the agenda, which is public comments. Catherine, I have to read that whole thing all over. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Buckle up out there. The public comment section of the meeting is for public comment on all items on the agenda or items that are not on the agenda. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes to comment on all items of the agenda. However, the board retains the right to increase or decrease the 3-minute limit prior to the start of public comment. Each public speaker shall be given the same number of minutes unless it becomes necessary to terminate a speaker's comments in order to maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum in the public meeting. Persons making public comment may not assign or donate their public comment time to another individual to allow that other individual additional time to comment. However, any persons requiring assistance will be accommodated by required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. Prior to addressing the board, speakers present at the meeting will go to the podium to make their comments, and speakers participating virtually will unmute their device at the time requested. Speakers may be asked to state their name and address for the record. Any person may provide written comments to the board prior to the meeting. So if anyone is here for public comment, please step up to the podium now.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Mike McCray, wishing each of you all a happy new year. There's one observation. Okay, the boat parade sign that was on the corner of MLK Boulevard and Federal Highway, when I passed by it, it was whopped in the middle and it seemed like no one cared. I'm just going to say, you know, if we're going to put signs out, that should be a timely manner when we remove those signs. It has a bad effect on our city. I just want to say that before I come up there to join you all. Thank you.
Next, please, and thank you.
Quicker than I expected. Susan Oyer, Boynton Beach. So I'm going to reiterate, since this applies in the second meeting as well, we need to be addressing the parking problem over at 500 Ocean, since that is a CRA project in a CRA district. It is unacceptable that they are ticketing people for parking in free city parking that was made for the city and the public to park in, and that's just unacceptable that, you know, the 500 Ocean has decided to do that. So I would very much ask that you guys take care of that, because we've lost 2 businesses, and I'm now getting constant complaints from residents saying, what the heck's going on? Why is this going on? Susan, go talk to whoever you talk to. And again, I'm going to bring up the idea of moving the house, the old house on Boynton Beach Boulevard and 3rd, which Google says it's on Boynton Beach Boulevard. Property appraiser says it's on 3rd, and move that house, buy that house, and move that historic, beautiful building that's 95 years old over next to the Magnuson. If we're not going to be allowed to get the Andrews House, which the historic groups in the city desperately want to see happen, if that's not going to happen, then let's save this other house. I wish there was a way to find out who actually built this. This is potentially one of the houses my grandfather and his best friend built in the city. So I, of course, have a great passion for it, because they built a lot of these old original houses, and there's very, very few left. And I mean, I'm looking at my family's house that's, you showed so beautifully in your video there. Thank you. It makes my houses look great. They both turn 100 this year. They actually turn 100 in March, I believe. So, because my dad was born in March in the big house. So they are both 100 years old this year. And we have very little historic left. Let's preserve it, especially as we move forward possibly with another sister city that greatly values historic buildings and historic preservations, as do our other sister cities in this that we have. So thank you very much for your time, and Happy New Year.
Anyone else for public comment before we look online?
Chair, there is no one online for public comment.
Okay, public comment is now closed. We will continue to the consent agenda. Are there any items my colleagues would like to pull for discussion? Starting with you, Board Member Turkin. Board Member Kelly.
No, thank you.
And Board Member
None
Cruz.
for me, thanks.
And then how does this work with Board Member Hay? Is somebody communicating with him?
He's online, but he can't vote.
You can just
so-
ask if
He
he has
He can
anything he
vote.
wants
Has
pulled,
anything,
but he
oh,
can't
he wants to
vote.
pull, yeah.
And on the CRA side, I guess.
So there are no quasi-judicial or municipal items before you all tonight, so he is able to participate with equal dignity of you all, assuming that he has full capacity of electronics. I'm not,
Yes.
he does, okay.
Okay, so would he message you if he wants to say something? Because I'm not gonna know.
He should be online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Board Member Hay, are you there? It says he's on air, so,
Okay.
okay.
All right, may I have a motion to?
So moved.
approve? Thank you. We have a
Second.
motion, okay, we have a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So there's 3 of us.
Yep.
So
Three.
this is 3.
3-0.
3-0, since she's not here, okay. Motion passes unanimously. We will now be moving on. Hold on. Nope. Nope. I'm going to turn to our Assistant Director, Mr. Tack. Do you have an update on the CRA Advisory Board, or who's doing that one?
Yeah, the CRA board last talked about the Heisman, ways to honor the 2 Heisman winners that are associated with Boynton or from Boynton at the last meeting, and we'll be finalizing their report to the board at the next meeting here in January and presenting it before you in February.
Great.
That's it.
Any questions from?
No?
We will now continue to old business. The first item is the continued discussion and consideration of the purchase of the 13 parcel assemblage located at 444 West Boynton Beach Boulevard. Is this you, Mr. Brown?
Thank you very much. I'm happy to say that we've come to an agreement on the purchase of the 13 properties. There is a representative from the seller here, Mr. Cunningham. He raised his hand, you can see him. I think everybody knows Mr. Cunningham. So we're very happy that and I think it was a well-negotiated deal. They were on both sides. I think we talked about that their original offer was 7.4 million. Our counteroffer was 7.1. And then they came up with a different offer. Or no, we made an offer of 7.1. Their counteroffer is 7.4. So then we made a final counteroffer of, we'll split the difference. And when someone on one side says, why don't we split the difference? It's like a white handkerchief. Let's not negotiate any further. This is it. Do you want it or not? And I think it worked. So we split the difference to 7.25 million. And so the contract was drafted by our law firm, Lewis, Lawton and Walker. And Ken Dodge did an excellent job. I saw the draft contract on Monday of this week, and he did an excellent job. And we wanted our contract to be used in this transaction, so it makes it easier for the commissioners, for the CRA board members. And so we now have a signed copy from the seller, and we're going to give it to you. We're not going to ask you to vote on it tonight, because my feeling is unless you'd like to, if you think you have had time to read it, well, then that's fine, but I don't want to shove it down your throat. And if you want time to read it, it's a very straightforward contract. And we basically put down $350,000 as a deposit. And forgive me for my voice, but I've been under the weather. And I came in for this meeting. So and then we have 60 days due diligence. And during that time, our staff will do the due diligence, particularly on environmental. And they're required to do a survey, so they'll do a survey during that time, because we need a survey for closing. And then once our due diligence is completed and we say yes, then we close in 30 days. We're going to bring this up at the next CRA board meeting. It may be a special meeting. And one thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do a slight change in our budget so we have the money allocated to purchase this property. And that's not going to be a problem because we're going to allocate money from projects. If you'd like to know what the allocation is, I'll tell you right now. We're going to take the current money, that's 3.9 million, and we're leaving it, that's the land, part of the land acquisition. We're going to move the garage to another time, that's 2.5 million. And we're going to take the auditor's gift of approximately 2 million, and that comes up to 8.4 million. So we have, for land acquisition, we have plenty of funds to close on the property. So.
I did just review everything, and I'm pretty sure it does, I'm reading it pretty fast, but these properties will be delivered vacant.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
ma'am, in the contract. Yeah, that's one thing I want you to read, so you feel comfortable about that.
Yeah, I'm very happy with this, everything that I'm reading on it. Go ahead, yes.
No, I just wanted to see what progress we've had with the parcels that are not contiguous. Because if I remember correctly, I think part of our hesitation was that we have a couple parcels that aren't contiguous with this. I remember that there was one homeowner that had come to the commission meeting, or sorry, CRA meeting, that had wanted to discuss a potential purchase. And so I just didn't know if, I just want to be consistent, with this moving forward. If we're going to communicate to those owners.
That's the first thing we're going to do after this meeting. Well, in fact, Teresa and I have discussed it, our land person, and we're going to go after the missing teeth immediately. This next week. So, yes, sir, we're right on it.
I'll read it over in detail. I'm looking forward to the next meeting. I hope we can move forward with this.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a game changer for this neighborhood.
My, Chair, if I may, there was some, I don't say negative feedbacks, but some negative feedback that came up, and actually I didn't even know about it. Apparently there was a whole news article about it, and I didn't see it until after we actually closed and started demoing the inn. I want to make sure that we're cognizant of the properties that have residents in them, whether they be tenants. I know that a lot of them, if they are, they're renters, but I really want to be sensitive to the fact that these are city residents, that we're, by us acquiring these and purchasing these, are forcing them out of what they have called their home, whether that be, a duplex or even the inn, which just happened recently. So I am always concerned and cognizant of the market and the rental market, and a lot of these people that have lived in these duplexes, need to find other places. So I just, I want to make sure that staff, if you could, work with.
Well, Commissioner Kelly, I'll promise you that I'll call Mr. Cunningham every week and say, be kind
Yeah.
to those tenants and what's the progress? And
Because, I
let me
mean,
know where they're going.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as much as it's, the landlords or whoever that is giving them your lease is up, it ultimately comes and looks bad on us that we're buying these properties and that we're tearing them down and the home that they lived in. So I am really cognizant of that, and I want to be very sensitive to that this is very important. It's a key area, and a key part of, our downtown. But, we're displacing people and businesses, and I want to be cognizant of that and sensitive to that. So if you could just, Chris, just keep me posted on how that's progressing, I would appreciate that as we move forward with this.
Any other questions, any other thoughts on this before we move on?
Board Chair, if I may request a vote of you all to hold a brief CRA meeting for this item only immediately before the next city council meeting. That'll give you all the chance to vote, and then we will notice it appropriately.
Motion to hold a meeting prior to the next CRA meeting regarding this.
Next city meeting.
Next city meeting, sorry.
The 20th.
Second.
Yep, regarding this.
Have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion passes unanimously. Okay. Pardon? 20th, yeah, not the 21st.
Right.
Yeah, I think Andrew said the 21st, it's the 20th. Okay, now we are moving on to the Heart of Boynton, item 14B, the Heart of Boynton Shops project.
Bonnie Nicklin will be presenting this one.
Bonnie, all right, come back on board, Bonnie.
Good evening, Board. Bonnie Nicklin, Grandson Project Manager. Since the last board meeting, we have made some progress towards reallocating the funding for the programs to the development, which was under consent agenda, so that was a huge help for the tenants. Construction did slow quite a bit with the holiday break. I was out there for a lengthy time yesterday to make sure things start to proceed quickly. We've been told that Unit 108, which is the NOP office, will be delivered completed by January 31st. We are so close on that unit, so I really hope this is the real deal this time. We have plumbing fixtures going in tomorrow. The cabinets are in, the countertops are in, the doors are in. I mean, floors, drywall, all that stuff. So we're getting close. Unit 106 is not far behind. We've got the finishing touches going in there, so hopefully around the same time period. Unit 105 is the restaurant. That one did slow down a lot. However, great progress today with hopefully drywall going in on Monday. So we continue to do that. We're having weekly site visits. The new site supervisor is back from his vacation, so I'm hoping with him back and catching up, we'll hit the ground running. And we have been attempting weekly calls. We've had a couple with Mr. Sweezy to, provide that sense of urgency to make those steps.
Is there any way we can have them come to our meeting?
I have made those requests. We have made those requests.
Yeah, can you tell him that it's not really a request, it's an invitation, that he should come to the next meeting?
Yes.
No, it's a request.
Thank you.
Certainly
I'd
will.
appreciate that.
A demand.
I've never got to meet him, and I'm just now, I'm in this mess, and I have a lot of frustration about this and how I want to see it go on. I think he needs to come to one of our meetings ASAP. Do
We
you
will
guys agree with this? Okay.
We will certainly let them know the importance of attending the next meeting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? We can move on. Okay, here we go with the famous item 14C is the presentation regarding the CRA owned property at 211 East Ocean Avenue, which was tabled on November 10th, 2025. Meeting to a date on January 8th, 2026. If we want to discuss this item, it will need to be untabled. I'm good leaving it tabled at the moment. It's up to you two. We both agree. Okay. we're not doing anything.
I would request that you at least move to table it to a different date certain, or to remove it from your future agendas, if it's not going to be heard, but we do need to move it to a future agenda.
I don't mind moving it to a future agenda. I know that you're working on numbers and stuff, right, Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think we can
March.
push it. Yeah, let's push it to March for now.
Okay, so if you would kindly make a motion to table until March.
We have to untable it to put it to another, okay.
Second.
What's the date on the meeting?
March 9th.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second to move this item to the March 9th meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Oops, sorry.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, 14D. The next item is the discussion and consideration of Fourth Amendment to contract with Lewis Longman Walker, PA, for legal services.
I'll take this.
Mr. Brown?
I'd like to take this because I've had the pleasure of working with Catherine and now Ken Dodge. And now I've had discussions with their bond counsel concerning the possibly future bond issue. It's an excellent firm. I've had a lot of experience with CRA attorneys, and her fee is very reasonable, particularly in light of some of the fees that we've had to pay in Broward County, for example, which are much higher. And don't go look them up, Catherine, please. But no, that her fee is very reasonable, and frankly, she's a very dedicated, loyal member of this team. She loves this job, and she gives her heart and soul to it.
Great.
So I recommend that you approve her proposal.
You want to come actually work for the CRA?
No, but I would like to say thank you so much for those very kind words. I very much appreciate them, and he's right. I do very much feel like a dedicated member of your team, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, Catherine, it's been a pleasure working with you, and you guys do a great job.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Nay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all very much.
Moving on to new business.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, and I'll try not to call you every weekend or evening or question.
She doesn't mind.
Yeah,
Yes, you may call when you like.
The next item is the discussion and consideration of the marina waitlist policy and forms.
Take that one.
Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. The CRA board requested that the CRA staff bring back a boat slip waitlist policy that would include a local preference. We have a member from Lewis Longman and Walker that's available online to walk us through that and answer any questions that you may have. And we have Brian Smith also as well, who is our
Catherine, they are online and they've.
Also, yeah.
Telsla,
Yes.
are you,
Yes.
perfect. All right, would you like to introduce this item for the board, please?
Sure. Hi, Telsla Morgan on behalf of Lewis Longman and Walker. We basically submitted a waitlist and local preference policy while there's no state statute that specifically restricts the marina from having one of these policies that basically gives a preference to or how they assign slips at the marina, we've decided to come up with one. And basically, the general gist of the policy is that when someone comes in and wants a boat slip and there is not one available, we've come up with a form in which someone can be added to the wait list. And as someone else comes behind them, they're also added. They're added in the order in which they come. It's date and time stamped. They will be required to fill out an application. We have proposed that there be a non-refundable application fee. We've looked around at other marinas who are also doing this, and they are charging an application fee. They're ordered from date and time of receipt. They're required to fill out an application and provide their information. And as they fill out their information, if a boat slip becomes available, and it will go to the first person on the list. And if that person's boat fits that boat size, if it fits the mix of the marina at all, in terms of businesses that are at the marina, then they will be given the opportunity in order to have that boat slip. However, if there are two people who've come in basically at the same time, around the same time, same size boat, and they can both go into that boat slip, the marina would be able to give that local preference to the local business that's in the area or the private citizen that's in the area in order to be assigned that slip. So essentially, that's what it is. We've come up with a form also for someone to fill out once they come in asking to be assigned a boat slip. So that's essentially what it is thus far. I know for your consideration, in addition to if you decide to move forward with this item, is the application fee that would be applicable. I think most or a lot of the marinas around the state of Florida are charging probably around $100 or $150. After speaking with Brian Smith and Teresa, they decided that was too high. So I think the recommendation at this time is either $50 or perhaps giving a local preference in terms of the fees that would be required to get on the wait list. There'd be a reduced fee for local citizens or local businesses as well.
Thank you. I guess my thought as far as we were talking about the wait list and the fee, I do think it's important that we have some sort of an application fee because of the process of, processing an application and going through that effort. I would like to see it, I'm okay with it being non-refundable, but if the person then is offered the slip, then I would like that money that they paid as a deposit to be towards, whether that's his deposit or the first month or whatever it is. I don't want it to be that then that's I get that, there has to be that application fee, but if we're offering them the slip, I want that to be a credit. And I do like the idea of having, if they're a resident, that fee would maybe be reduced, whether it be $100 and then $150 if they're not a resident. And then we can, we can see how it goes. I'm comfortable with that. I think that it's important that we do establish, a true waitlist policies moving forward. So those were my thoughts on the fees and the wait list at this time.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you. I agree with the credit towards the, with the lease for the administrative fee that Brian would collect. I think $50 is fair. Moving forward, I think it'd be weird to call people on the list now and say, hey, pay $50. That's kind of weird. I think moving forward, that would make sense. Also, too, so for the local preference, the reason I brought this up is I think about all the local preference initiatives that this board has done, right? And when you look at people who are trying to progress and grow their business, and they're property owners, or they have a business in the city, they should be the first one to be able to expand and grow their business, right? And if we have the opportunity to do that, we should do that. And so there is no law that prohibits that as long as we're not exclusive to people that live outside of the city. And so I think there is an opportunity to where we can allow the residency to be a primer factor as long as everything else is equivalent, and Brian has the discretion for his contract where he can identify, okay, hey, we don't want 8 dive boats here, right? But I can tell you, every week I get a phone call about a squabble between the boat ramp and the marina. And so one thing that I do know as the sky is blue is that there is a demand for charter operators in the marina. Like there's a demand for slips. And so, when we talk about the use mix, right? I don't think charter operators are in that same discussion as the dive boats, as the tiki, right? They're a whole fleet. And so whether you have 10 boats in an arena and 10 boats operating elsewhere, that competition's not going to change if you move them over to the marina, if people want to expand and grow. And so I don't want the words of only to apply when it is a tiebreaker. I think that Brian has the authority. I've reviewed this. I've gotten a second opinion based on what Tulsula has sent me, that he does have the ability to give local preference if he sees fit for the marina operations. And so I want to make sure that we eliminate the only where it's a tiebreaker, because again, that's not really doing much in my lens. I think when we put this as a priority, then we're making an impact. Otherwise, really, it sounds good, it looks good, but I think having that only when it's a tiebreaker makes things a little bit hairy for me. And so I'd like to come back with something more more direct. And again, I think if we look at are we optimizing those slips to the best of our ability, right? I know we utilized, and Brian, thank you, we had a long conversation, Teresa, Tim, Chris, we had a long conversation about this. I think it was very productive, and we have, I think we have probably the most business-friendly marina in the county, if not the tri-county area. When you look at the comparables between not just the municipal sector, but the private sector on what we charge and what the CRA staff does as far as for marketing and promotion from them, I mean, it's a home run, right? And so we're it, right? Like we're it. And, we try to utilize, I think one of the spaces is like a transient slip, which, I think was a really good idea. I don't think we've gotten to where we've hoped to be yet. And so I think making sure that we're optimizing those slips is important. And then that also helps solve another issue of, people trying to, take their business to the next level that live here in the city, you know what I mean? And, want to expand, their business versus going elsewhere and losing that. Because, you're not just having a commercial charter, you're having people go and park, you're having people staying, whether it's an Airbnb or a hotel, they go to George's, they cook up their catch. There's a big ripple effect, with the local economy. And so I think, for me, I would just like to remove that language of the only when it's a tiebreaker, and, focus more on, are they eligible? Yes, they're eligible. Are they local? Yes, they're local. Okay, obviously if we have 3 local tikis, like I don't think that's, realistic, right? But if we have 3 local fishing charters, whether it's diving, bottom fishing, sword fishing, whatever the case might be, right? Yeah, I think those should be prioritized. And so I just want to make sure that when we're doing this, we're doing it to make an actual impact and not just, language that sounds good.
The current time frame for applications, like, because she was talking about if it's the same type of application and the same type of business, and if it's local, but I think she mentioned some sort of time frame. Or no?
Was that the response?
To clarify, do you mean how long the average person waits on the wait list? So they're put on, and I will ask Brian to maybe come up and talk through this a little more cogently than I will. But a wait list operates like an ordinary wait list in that, you somewhat go on in the order that you appear. But then when a slip opens up, it's not only based on time order. There are a number of factors, including the boat length, the boat slip size, the business mix, et cetera. And so, Brian can speak to that. But is that, I believe that's the time frame you were referring to?
For the preference, like, I think she talked about a reasonable time frame or something along those lines but just trying to understand.
So, like, we only have 19 slips, so the time frame as far as when you go on the list to when you get in, I mean, it's, we've had someone on there since 2024. We haven't had many vacancies lately. It could be years. I mean, and if you go back 6 or 8 years ago, we had empty slips and no wait lists. So it kind of goes with what's going on in the local marine industry. But, right now we have no availability unless we can move some people around like we talked about, which I'm working on, maybe utilizing slip 1, which would open up 1 or 2. But as it stands right now, it could be, if we don't know tenants leave, it could be years before a slip comes available. I have 11 people on the list, or businesses, and there's 3 from Boynton currently on the list. And so far, I've just been, I have them give me just a little synopsis of what they're looking to do and what about their business and their experience, and that gets them on the list. So I'm looking forward to having a more, structured way to have the wait list. So a lot of this is going to be helpful. But it's just, I wish we had more dockage, because that's the real problem.
And that's because Brian does a good job, the CRA does a very good job, our prices are the best in the county, and our location too, we're like so close, we're the closest to the Gulf Stream in the whole eastern seaboard, right? And so it is a real prime location, and, I know, I would just encourage everyone to meet with Brian and Teresa and do like a deep dive. I learned a lot. There's a couple tenants that, I've been through some difficult situations, and we just resigned the lease. And, I think Brian's been pretty fair with those tenants, and I think there's opportunities to where we can meet those local needs. But again, some of the feedback I've heard too is they'll be on the wait list, they'll find somewhere else, and then they won't call Brian, you know what I mean? And so I think the idea of having that fee helps mitigate that.
Absolutely, yeah, and it also gets the tire kickers, if somebody's just calling around looking for a slip.
Oh, put me on the list.
We had
yeah.
them on the list, and then I go to the list, and the first 3 aren't even real anymore. So I think a small fee would be appropriate.
Yeah, and then having, people who are serious,
Establish a true wait list.
Yeah, like if you're local, you're operating already, you know what I mean? Like, we know you're serious. So, then I think it moves faster, right? And wish we could have more slips. Hopefully that's something this board will do later down the road.
Ready for that.
Yeah. So yeah, my proposal is to include that as a primary factor, I think there's a way to do that.
Yes, we will take your direction tonight, both in terms of the credit and of the making it a factor of equal consideration, bring you back a policy for your final vote.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, and the fee. Sorry, Teresa.
Right, what would the board prefer to charge the locals? If we're doing $50 for non-locals, what did you want the reduced fee to be for locals?
I thought somebody had said $100 for residents, and then I thought that's what you guys I thought that's what she said you
Is that-
guys had agreed to.
Yeah, some
My
other marinas are
misunderstanding.
like 150, and we had talked about 100 or less. Maybe if we did 100 and then
Right.
50 for
Locals?
locals.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
want to be clear on.
Moving
Okay.
forward.
Perfect.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you.
Yeah.
And that would be refundable or a credit towards their, like, rent.
When they're offered a slip, yeah.
Yes, we'll put it as a credit towards their account.
And then if for whatever reason, they don't get in, if we determine they're not a good use, that money could be refunded.
Okay, so we're gonna change it from non-refundable to refundable.
But then why do we charge it if we're gonna refund it? It's like, it just adds another layer of work for staff.
Yeah, I think it should only be if
We're
they
gonna,
end up in our
I mean,
slip.
100 is, for some people is a lot, but if we just wanted to charge $50 across the board, and then the people that are not, the people who get the slip, get that, as a credit,
doing
and
the
everybody
work.
else, you just
Yeah.
applied, it is what it is.
They're still doing the work
So
to
if-
process it.
If we decide that they're not a good fit, then we're still going to keep that fee and they don't get in, like down the road, if they've been on the list for 2 years, say, and their name comes up. Because that sometimes could happen.
I just feel like.
In the list.
like,
The work in other marinas.
Like, imagine like you're on the list and you're waiting on the list and then you're like, oh, you're not a good fit, but we're keeping your money.
Yeah.
And again, like, I know that's not what the intention is.
No.
But a lot of times that might be someone who receives it.
But is it not the
And
right fit?
maybe we don't do
or is
anything
it-
for local, businesses and maybe we just charge $100 for non.
But is it that it's not a right fit? Because I would hope that when they apply or when they discuss with you that they're interested, if we know that we already have a certain number of a category or whatever, and it's almost like you're gonna pay $50 to go on this wait list. You can, but I'm telling you, you may not end up because of X, Y, and Z. If you've given them the outs and you've said, look, I don't think we're gonna have a slip that you're gonna qualify for a while, but if you wanna pay the $50 and you wanna fill an application, then we'll hang on to it. I'm just telling you, I don't see it happening. Then I think that if you handled it that way, as opposed to saying, sure, just give me your application and fill it out, and then a year down the line, you're like, oh, well, I'm evaluating this one slip, but you don't really qualify. I feel like if you're upfront in the beginning and say, I don't know that you're gonna have a fit anytime soon unless everyone leaves the marina, but you can pay the $50. You're paying the $50, it's non-refundable, because I have to process this application just like as if you were going to have a possibility of having something open up. Then they've paid the $50. Then they've made it their choice. But I feel like if we can excuse ourselves out of a non-refundable deposit.
We put
all
something
day
in there.
long.
We put something in the application that
Get
says
disclosure.
placement on the wait list does not guarantee that dockage will be offered to your business. So it is in there, so I guess that would cover us.
Yeah, I think if we're just upfront at the beginning, and if you know, like, you already have 5 dive boats, and we're probably not gonna want another dive boat in the next, unless 3 leave, if you give them that disclaimer and say, I don't really see that you're gonna have a spot open, but you can pay the $50 and be on the wait list and take a chance, then they've made that decision for themselves. And then we're not, that's my position on that. I just feel like you're still going through the work to process the application and maintain a wait list. So,
Understood?
Yeah, maybe we can just incorporate some language, maybe some new, like a disclosure, that way they know, so there's no, later down the road.
we only have
Right.
19 slips.
So
Yeah.
we'll,
Like,
in
we have an
addition to what
overabundance.
Brian just referenced with whatever fee language we put together, we'll include it there as well, so it's very clear. And I'm certain that Brian, who's very communicative with all of these folks, will also
Can we
have
put the
that
local
conversation.
preference in that language as well, so we can let people know, like, if you're a local resident, you do get that preference in case a local resident comes by and you're applying, just be aware of that as well.
Yeah, and like, what is it, like 30% of, maybe 40 even are rentals, like boat rentals?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so there's like
35,
8.
30, maybe.
Yeah.
We have 6 slips are rental, well, 7 counting Freedom, which is a club, so it's kind of like a rental type, but
Yeah.
it's.
It's a 8, yeah, 8 slips are like rental boats, and so, yeah. I think we could enhance, the fleet a little bit more.
Just so you're aware, there's a good amount of work that goes along with processing these guys, vetting them,
Yeah.
BTRs, insurance, size of the boat, verification they actually have a boat, all these wonderful things Brian does. So, if you wanted to charge a non-refundable, that would make sense. If you want to charge a refundable, that can make sense too. The amount of turnover that we have as of late has not been very much. So, the waiting list has been generally a long wait for anyone, pretty much.
Yep, in the last number of years, yes. We've pretty much been full.
I would propose the $50 non-refundable fee, and then if you do get the slip, it becomes a credit, but if not, staff is taking a lot of time to do that, and I think it's reasonable to pay that non-refundable fee.
It's like an application fee.
Yeah.
I think we have what we need. We will bring you back something in February for your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is the discussion and consideration of fiscal year 2024-25 budget amendment for unreserved fund balance. Mr. Brown?
It's going to be Ms. Hill.
Oh, all right.
Good evening, Board Chair, Board members. Vicki Hill, the CRA Finance Director. Excuse my voice.
No.
I'm just like Chris, so we're just trying to get through this here. But with the audit, the 24-25 audit, we were able to get back some funds to reallocate to the board. And it's about $2.6 million. And what we're asking the board is to put $425,000 into economic development and the remaining balance into property acquisition. And that is about $2.179088.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Oh,
You feel
and
better.
Happy New Year.
Yes, definitely feel better. Next item is the discussion and consideration of a tax deed for sale of property located at 543 Northwest 11th Avenue.
Teresa Utterback will be presenting this item before the board tonight.
Good evening, Board. This item, these properties, Bonnie and I are very diligent about watching the tax deeds. And this property, 543 Northwest 11th Avenue, has been one that we have literally watched for 5-7 years. It comes on and off tax deed. Right now, it's on at a price at the starting bid of $11,239.35. This has been, just a little background for those of you that haven't known in the past, right next to it, to the west, was a CRA property that we partnered with Habitat and did this beautiful brand-new home. The house next to it has been in shambles for years. So we are very excited and would love to get it. And if we do get it, we would like to add it to the infill RFP that we've got going on. So we're excited. I wanted to give you a little bit of information without too much. I've received the search on the property, the background search, we did a quick one without having to do title. There's nothing that we don't already know about in the quick search, so that's on the dais for you. We've got there are some hefty city liens on it. About close to $864,000 in a code lien violation. There is also another one at $700 and some odd, which will go up. I'm not too worried about that one. And there are no violations as far as water, so I don't have an ongoing water bill for that property. The CRA is fortunate enough that we work with the city, and I can go before the city for a lien reduction if we acquire the property. I usually do. The magistrate is usually very kind to us, so I am optimistic and positive on that. I wanted to let you know that we've purchased vacant properties around in this exact area at $22 a square foot. So what we're looking for is board direction on a max price for the auction. So, to give you an example, the lot is 0.12 acres at $22 a square foot would bring us to a price at $115,312.3. Obviously, we do not have to go that high because it's got the liens on it, and we do have a slight advantage. It could be a lot less. It's just at your discretion. I just wanted you to know exactly what we paid for properties of that, in that exact area per square foot, and leave it up to you guys to decide. We'd appreciate anything to be able to go ahead and bid on this one.
Is there a recommended price that you guys have?
I think a number. I think a number for the maximum bid would be 115,000.
I'm comfortable with that.
I'm okay with that. So do you want a motion?
Please.
Okay, so motion to approve entertaining this purchase with the max cost or cap of $115,000?
Second.
We have a motion to approve process to go no higher than 115,000 on 543 Northwest 11th Avenue. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay.
Thank
Motion
you, and we will keep you updated on the auction.
Anything else from my colleagues tonight, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Have a
Chris,
motion.
were you about to say something?
No.
Okay, I thought you.
We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. All
Second.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Good
passes.
night, everyone.
Thank you so much.
See you next week.